Welcome, everyone, to the 60th Inaugural Ceremonies at the United States Capitol. My name is Emily Boisvert. I am a Capitol tour guide at the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center, where we welcome about 2.5 million visitors a year. Maybe you've been on my tour before, or with my colleague.
My name is Ron Jackson. I've been a tour guide. Well, when President Abraham Lincoln was inaugurated the second time, I was here and it just continued. Glad to have you today. Some of you might recall 4 years ago, my broadcast partner, Janet. Janet is watching. She's helping us. So glad to have you back. Emily, George Washington's inauguration happened April 30th of 1789. Well, that's because of weather. It was supposed to happen March 4th of 1789, and weather today has moved the inauguration inside. But JASIC, and we'll learn more about JASIC later, has a wonderful lineup for us today. What will we learn today?
Well, we're going to be at the United States Capitol building, which Congress first moved into in 1800. We're going to go, this is a shot of the East Front right now, and that's the side that most people actually arrive to the Capitol at, which is going to happen today as well. But the first thing that everyone is going to see is the West Front of the Capitol, and you can see that there are the 4 flags up. That's usually where we have inaugurations, but what did you say that the temperature was today, Ron?
22 degrees presently. It's approximately 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Saving Time, and let's just say conditions are supposed to, shall we say, deteriorate as in terms of temperature as the wind chill increases. We'll talk about this. This is not all that unfamiliar that we've had inaugurations inside the Capitol building.
Right, it has happened before, but everyone will be arriving on the east front of the Capitol building today. And let's just go through some of the spaces in the Capitol that you're going to see. The first room we want to show you is the President's Room.
Oh,
This gorgeous room.
I wish I could take, and don't tempt me, everyone watching this broadcast into the President's Room. This is a space that's not on the public route. We'll talk about what the President will do here. Look at those floors. Look at the medallion. This is a stunning room on the second floor of the Senate side of the Capitol. Certainly not to be outdone. There are other rooms that we'll highlight. But look as this camera just politely and gently glides through this wonderful space. Well,
yes. Well, I think we should also show the House side of the building.
One would think, right?
Well, yes, of course. And so let's go over to Statuary Hall, where, they're preparing for the luncheon already, and we'll talk a lot more about this room later. But the main action of the day is in the Capitol Rotunda. And maybe you are one of those people who came on one of our 8th grade tours. You know, this is the room that always impresses, and they've done a lot of work to set it up for today.
Look at those paintings. To give you a sense of first chronological perspective, this rotunda is 1824 to 26, and the paintings that you're looking at that we're going to go into great detail a little later on are about the Revolutionary War. So we want the world to know about the Revolutionary War. That particular marble statue to the right that the camera's spanning is called the Portrait Monument. The rotunda, the signature room of the United States Capitol.
Yeah, this is it is usually someone's first sort of exciting moment when they come into the Capitol building. What we can see is that it's under that big Capitol dome,
Yes.
right? And so you kind of walk through that doorway, which you can see straight ahead. That's how most people enter the building, and they look up and they always go, wow, it's 180 feet on the inside. And it's just a really gorgeous space.
Emily, people often ask us, what is the rotunda for? Ceremonies. And this ceremony today, which we've heard so much in the last few days about President Ronald Wilson Reagan in 1985, I think it's rather ironic where the stage is set up. President-elect Trump will look at a statue of President Reagan. You know, we were talking about weather, and look at this. Oh, this is, now you're up my alley here. Emily just mentioned 180 feet to a painting called The Apotheosis of George Washington. And friends, there's an artist whose name we're going to talk about at some length, Constantino Bernini, who painted it. To give you an idea of size, it's the size of a basketball court. But Emily, doesn't this room look familiar to some of us? I shouldn't say some, but quite a few thousands were here just 2 weeks ago.
Right. You know, this is a really a great ceremony that we're going to have today, but it's not the only ceremony that we have in the Capitol Rotunda. And this was the site of President Carter's lying in state just a few days ago. It's not quite 2 weeks ago. And certainly Ron and I were here for that as well.
President Ronald Wilson Reagan, laying in state the summer of 2005. I remember distinctly lines extending to the Air and Space Museum. To give you an idea, friends, that's about 5 to 7 blocks away from the Capitol. It was a long wait. But today we'll witness the transition of power. Vice President-elect
J.D. Vance?
How could I forget J.D. Vance from Ohio? J.D. Vance and President Donald Trump.
Yes. And, you know, we've had how many of these at the Capitol? We've had quite a few ceremonies, inaugural ceremonies at the Capitol building. Of course, they weren't all here because they only moved here in 1800. And so before 1800, they were in New York and then in Philadelphia and now finally here in Washington. Oh, this is a great shot
Yes,
here
it is.
of the paintings. Now, those paintings in the background that we're seeing, they're by John Trumbull. And Ron, do you want to say a little bit about them?
John Trumbull from Lebanon, Connecticut, lost use of his left eye. He fell downstairs. He became an aide-de-camp to George Washington, and he's commissioned to paint these paintings. Now, I would say if we have any students,